Born before 1966? There's something happening right now with Social Security that a whole lot of older folks still don't fully understand. And I'll tell you something honest. Many people are losing money every single month without even realizing it. Some already filed too early. Some are getting the wrong benefit. Some are paying extra for Medicare when they shouldn't be. And the sad part is, nobody from the government sits down with you and explains these things. They just send letters filled with confusing numbers and expect everybody to somehow figure it out alone. Well, today I want to talk about this slowly, simply, like two old friends sitting on the porch together. Because depending on the year you were born, the rules are different, the retirement age is different, and the mistakes can follow you for the rest of your life. You know, when many of us were younger, we thought Social Security would be simple. Work hard, pay taxes, retire someday, and collect your check. That's what people believed. But over the years, the system changed little by little. Retirement ages moved, penalties changed, Medicare costs changed, earnings limits changed. And now here in 2026, I'm seeing so many seniors confused about what they're actually entitled to receive. Some people are collecting hundreds less every month than they could have been getting. Others claimed too early because they were scared, tired, or simply didn't understand how permanent those reductions really are. And once certain decisions are made, there's no easy way to undo them later. Now, if you were born between 1943 and 1954, listen carefully because this part matters more than you might think. Most people in this age group are already retired. Many are in their 70s or early 80s now. And because they've been receiving Social Security for years already, they assume everything must be correct. But that's not always true.
One of the biggest problems I keep hearing about involves widows and widowers. A husband passes away or a wife passes away, and the surviving spouse just keeps collecting whatever benefit they were already receiving, without realizing they might qualify for something larger on the spouse's record instead. A lot of folks don't know that survivor benefits can sometimes pay significantly more money every month. And unless you specifically ask Social Security to compare both records side by side, they may never clearly explain which option is higher. I've heard stories from older women living alone after losing their husbands, struggling to pay groceries and electric bills, while all along they could have been receiving a larger monthly benefit. The money was there, but nobody walked them through it properly. That's why I always tell seniors, especially widows and widowers, never assume the check you receive is automatically the highest one available. Ask questions. Call Social Security directly. Make them compare your personal retirement benefit against the survivor benefit, because even an extra few $100s each month can completely change somebody's quality of life when prices today are climbing higher and higher. And speaking of rising costs, let's talk about Medicare for a minute, because this is another area where many older Americans are quietly losing money. Some retirees are paying far more for Medicare Part B than they should be paying, and they don't even know why. You may have heard about something called IRMAA before. Sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Medicare looks at income from previous years, so maybe a person sold a house a few years ago. Maybe they withdrew retirement money one time. Maybe they converted a retirement account. Suddenly, Medicare sees that higher income and starts charging larger premiums every single month, even though the person's income later dropped back down. Now imagine being retired on a fixed income and discovering you're paying hundreds extra every month because of something that happened years ago. That hurts. especially today when groceries, insurance, rent, and medications already cost so much. But here's what many seniors don't realize. Sometimes you can appeal that increase if your income truly went down after a major life event. Yet many older folks never appeal because nobody tells them they can. They just keep paying the higher premium year after year, thinking they have no choice. That's why it's important to look carefully at your Medicare deductions and ask questions if something doesn't seem right. Now let's move to people born between 1955 and 1959, because honestly, this may be the most important group right now in 2026. These are the people who are right around retirement age. And this is where the confusion becomes dangerous, because every birth year has a slightly different full retirement age.
Years ago, people always said 66 or 67, like it was simple. Not anymore. For this group, the exact month matters. One person may reach full retirement age at 66 and 2 months. Another person may need to wait until 66 and 6 months. Another until 66 and 10 months. Those small differences may not sound like much, but financially, they can change everything. And here's where people get themselves into trouble. Many workers get tired in their early 60s. Their knees hurt, their backs hurt, jobs become harder. Some lose employment. Some simply feel burned out after 40 years of working. So at 62, they decide, I'll just take Social Security now. And emotionally, I understand that decision completely. But what many people don't fully understand is that claiming early permanently reduces your monthly benefit for the rest of your life. We're not talking about a temporary penalty. We're talking about less money every single month as long as you live. A person expecting $2,000 monthly might lose $500 or more every month forever by filing too early. Over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that becomes a massive amount of lost income. We're talking about enough money to cover groceries, medications, utility bills, property taxes, maybe even help grandchildren from time to time. And once the reduced amount starts, many people later realize they filed too soon when it's already too late to change course. On the other side, people who are healthy enough to wait sometimes don't realize how valuable delayed retirement credits can be. Every month after full retirement age, your future benefit grows a little more. By the time some people reach age 70, their checks can be dramatically larger for the rest of their lives. And in today's world, where many retirees are living longer than previous generations, that larger monthly check can become extremely important later in life, especially when medical bills begin growing during your 70s and 80s. There's another issue affecting this same group that causes a lot of confusion and frustration. Some people begin collecting Social Security while they're still working before reaching full retirement age. Then, suddenly, part of their Social Security check disappears, and they panic because they think the government took their money away permanently. What's really happening is the earnings limit. If you earn above a certain amount while collecting early retirement benefits, Social Security temporarily withholds part of your check. Now, eventually that money gets recalculated back into your benefit later on, but many people never understood the rule in the first place. So when the check suddenly shrinks, it creates fear and confusion. And now let me talk to those of you born between 1960 and 1965. Because this group is getting very close to retirement, and the decisions you make over the next few years could affect the rest of your life financially. For everyone in this age group, full retirement age is now 67, not 65 like decades ago, not 66 for most of you.
It's 67. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, because after working your whole life, 62 starts sounding pretty tempting. You get tired. You want peace. You want freedom. You want to finally slow down a little and enjoy your mornings without alarms and deadlines. I understand that completely. But before anybody files early, they need to truly understand what that decision means over the long run. When somebody claims Social Security at 62 instead of waiting until 67, the reduction can be around 30% permanently. That's huge. And the word permanently is the part people often overlook. They hear 30% and think, maybe it adjusts later. Maybe it catches up later. No. That reduced amount follows you month after month, year after year. So if somebody was supposed to receive $2,000 each month at full retirement age, they may end up getting closer to $1,400 instead. That difference may not sound devastating at first, but fast forward 15 or 20 years into retirement, and suddenly that missing money becomes the difference between comfort and stress. I've known retirees who filed early because they thought they wouldn't live long enough for waiting to matter. Then they ended up living into their 80s and spent those later years wishing they had larger monthly checks coming in. Nobody can predict how long they'll live. That's the hard truth. And the older we get, the more expensive life often becomes. Prescription drugs, doctor visits, home repairs, insurance, sometimes even helping adult children or grandchildren who are struggling financially themselves. Every extra dollar matters later in life. Now there's something else many people close to retirement still don't know about. After reaching full retirement age, some people can request retroactive payments going back several months. In simple words, Social Security may allow you to receive a lump sum covering benefits from months before you officially applied. For some retirees, that could mean several $1,000s arriving in one payment. Now, of course, there's a trade-off. Taking that retroactive payment can slightly lower the monthly amount moving forward because your official starting date gets pushed backward. But for some people who suddenly need cash for medical bills, debt, home repairs, or emergencies, that option can be very helpful. The problem is, many seniors never hear about it at all unless they specifically ask. And while we're talking about retirement planning, let me say something that younger seniors really need to hear. Please check your earnings record carefully before filing for benefits someday. I know it sounds boring. I know paperwork is nobody's favorite thing. But mistakes happen more often than people realize. Social Security records depend on payroll information reported over decades of work. That means one employer entering the wrong number years ago, one missing self-employment record, one reporting mistake from the 1980s or 1990s. All of that can lower your future monthly benefit. Some people discover errors only after they retire, when fixing those mistakes becomes much harder. And this next part is especially important for those born in 1966 or later. Maybe you're in your 50s now, maybe early 60s. Retirement still feels far away, so Social Security doesn't seem urgent yet. But honestly, this may be the best time to pay attention, because you still have time to fix problems before they cost you money later on. One thing many people don't understand is that Social Security has been tracking your earnings since your first jobs many decades ago. Every paycheck, every employer, every tax year. And over a lifetime, mistakes can absolutely happen. Back in the old days, payroll systems weren't as modern as they are today. Records were entered manually. Papers got lost. Companies closed down. Some self-employed workers accidentally reported income incorrectly. Some part-time jobs never got recorded properly at all. And every missing year or incorrect number can reduce your future retirement benefit. Maybe not by a huge amount at first glance, but over an entire retirement, those missing dollars add up tremendously. That's why I always tell people, don't wait until retirement to check your Social Security history. Go online. Open your Social Security statement. Look through the earnings listed year by year. Compare them to your memory, your tax records, your old W-2 forms if you still have them. Because right now, while you're younger, there's still time to gather documents and correct errors. 20 years from now, those papers may be impossible to find. Employers disappear. Files vanish. Memories fade. The sooner you check, the easier the process becomes. And you know, the older I get, the more I realize how many people spend their whole lives working hard without ever fully understanding the system they paid into all those years. Most folks trusted that everything would automatically work itself out in retirement. But today, you really have to pay attention. Nobody protects your future better than you do. You have to ask questions. You have to read the letters carefully. You have to double-check the numbers. Because one small misunderstanding can affect your income for the next 20 or 30 years.
I also want to say this to anybody listening who has parents, older brothers or sisters, neighbors or friends in these age groups. Please talk to them about this stuff. A lot of seniors are embarrassed to admit they don't understand Social Security rules. Some are afraid of paperwork. Some get overwhelmed by long phone calls and complicated government language. Others simply assume there's nothing they can do anymore. But sometimes one simple conversation changes everything. Sometimes helping somebody check one form or make one phone call can put extra money back into their pocket every month. And let's be honest, retirement today is not easy for many people. Prices keep rising. Housing costs keep rising. Medical expenses keep rising. A lot of older folks are trying to stretch every dollar they have. That's exactly why understanding these rules matters so much. This isn't just paperwork. This is real life. This is whether somebody can afford groceries comfortably, whether they can keep the heat on in winter, whether they can replace an old car or pay for medications without stress. These decisions matter deeply. So if you remember nothing else from this conversation today, remember this. Don't assume your Social Security situation is automatically correct just because checks are arriving. Check your benefit. Check your earnings history. Understand your full retirement age. Understand what happens if you claim early. Understand how working while collecting benefits may affect your payments. And if something feels confusing, ask questions until you fully understand it. There's absolutely no shame in that. Anyway, my friends, I just wanted to sit down today and share this information in the simplest way I could, because too many good people are losing money simply from lack of clear explanation. I hope this helped some of you feel a little more prepared and a little less confused about what's happening in 2026. And if you think this conversation could help somebody else in your family or circle of friends, please share it with them. Sometimes these small pieces of information end up helping people more than we realize. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I truly appreciate every one of you who stops by, listens, and supports this little community we have here.
Please take care of yourselves, stay safe out there, and I'll be back again very soon with another talk. Until next time, my friends, goodbye for now.